Been running with live best ball, the silky best ball summer, as you can see right now. It's Best Ball Mania 2, $1,001 to first place on Underdog Fantasy, the best drafting platform, not even just best ball, but all around, especially when you take into account the mobileness of it. So how y'all doing? Let's get into this. I snagged just now. We're going to pull up the board in a second. This draft is starting in honestly a minute. I just snagged, and I'll pull up the live chat, I just snagged the 9th overall pick. So I think this is my 4th or 5th Best Ball Mania draft. I've done a couple other Best Ball drafts and the lower stakes stuff. I was just doing them at weird times overnight or early, normally early morning when I get up. So not a lot of people are up to fill those Best Ball Manias, so we fill some of the smaller field stuff. But this draft is started. I'm going to use my ranks, my tiers. The tiers that I have as of right now in May are going to be totally different than what I have going forward in the next months. But if you have any questions, you can let them in the chat right now. I see people over on Twitter, see people over on YouTube. We're going to be doing PPR. So I have half PPR. So I have it set up specifically for this format of the Best Ball Mania. Let's pull up this right now. So it's going quickly. What I've seen lately, and it's interesting, Saquon's about to drop till 4. Wow, Saquon's about to drop till 5 in this draft. So it's right off the bat, we got what we expect, but a little bit interesting. We expect running backs to go early. Interesting to see that Saquon drops to 5 here in this draft. I've taken Saquon at the 1.2. Saquon is my number 2 overall ranked player, number 2 running back. Goes with that. Kamara goes at the 4. I'm pretty low on Kamara right now, but that can definitely change depending on if we know Jameis is going to be starting right off the bat. I have Kamara as my RB9 right now. But yeah, I'm pretty high in Aaron Jones, RB4. I'm trying to not have any personal biases from being a Packers fan in there, but I don't think that they are. I'm doing some of the write-ups early on for some of these top running backs. I just got done with the top 8. I'm going to try and get done with the top 10 before the end of the day today on the running backs right now. And my God, the yards created metrics that Derrick Henry, Derrick Henry, not known for, the whole catching the ball, but the yards created that this guy is putting up is just insane. So I'm on the clock with 20 seconds. Ezekiel Elliott just goes, but Aaron Jones is still on the clock. He's my number 4 overall player right now, early on. This is an easy snag at the 1-9 for Aaron Jones for me. I would have taken Aaron Jones if I was on the board at the 5th overall pick, maybe even the 4th, which is where I have him right now. We have one wide receiver that goes early. This is normally the case since there's still some murkiness around Rodgers. I think Rodgers stays exactly where he is right now, but there is still some murkiness around him. So you usually do not see Adams go off the board first. You're seeing Tyreek Hill, which people want to set up the sexy schnacks, those sexy stacks early, but I don't think a lot of people are going to be able to snag them. There goes Kelsey, so you're never going to get the full. Last year, you were able to get in some situations the full on stack. I'm on the clock again here. Adams is still on the board. I like to go running backs twice early. Damn, we already have Najee Harris too early for me in the second. I'm taking Adams here. I am a full believer that Aaron Rodgers is going to be back with this team. I think a lot of what's going on out there right now in the media and just what's being talked about is, I would say, a little bit baloney. A.J. Brown falls pretty far as well. But yeah, I have Devontae Adams right now as the number 1 overall wide receiver. Getting him at right there at the 2-4. That's where you were able to get him last year at some points, and that was a value. And then we got to see what he did this previous year. So clearly, a goddamn standout value. If you're wondering what we're doing right now on YouTube, I see some people hopping in here. Get any questions you might have into the chat if you want. We're doing a best ball draft on Underdog. It's the best spot to be drafting your fantasy best ball lineups. $1,001 to first place. You're not going to be able to win that anywhere else. It's as simple as that. Alrighty, so we just, without even trying, this is all hitting me after the fact. Najee Harris goes at the 2-7. Najee Harris is going to move up my board pretty quick. He's already my RB13. I think he's going to continue to move up. I might have him ahead of, it's going to be close with Jonathan Taylor by the end of the summer as being a number 11, number 12 overall running back. But we've already got this Packers stack set up right now. Little skepticism around Rodgers' status. People might not want to go there. But we have Adams. We have Jones. And based on where we're getting it right now, Jones and Adams, the second that Rodgers signs an extension, or at least he's going to be here for this specific year, if June 1st comes and goes and they don't trade him, right? And it seems very unlikely that they trade him. The only way that this happens is if Devontae or if Aaron Rodgers says, you know what, I don't want to be playing this year with the Packers, and he sits out. The Packers, in my opinion, are not trading him. There's no teams out there that have the equity to give up. I know the Broncos are the sexy choice. Maybe the Broncos. That's about it. but you're not going to be able to get later on. So this is the advantage of drafting earlier and also taking some risks, especially if you know you're going to play more than like 2 best ball, right? If Aaron Rodgers leaves, fine, whatever. Aaron Rodgers has left now, and I have one of my best ball lineups that's weirdly correlated with like the Packers and now Rodgers on the Broncos or something. But the big thing for Silky Best Ball Summer is I can take advantage of getting Aaron Jones and Devontae Adams. And it's going to be really hard to get those 2 players moving forward unless maybe you have like the 12th pick and you can go back-to-back with them if like an Adams falls at that point. Jones is only going to continue to move up, I believe, as more content comes out over the summer. Somebody just got Carson with the last pick in the 2nd round. I think it's a really good pick. I'm going to be looking at running back on my next pick, and that's coming up shortly. Waller's still on the clock as well. It seems like Kittle's constantly going above Waller. I'm not for that personally. Julio's still on the board. Ridley just goes finally at the early 3rd. There goes Waller right there. Alrighty. So I'm a couple picks away now. I'm like 3 picks away. I'm looking running back here, but man, these running backs quickly ran off the board. Dobbins. Yeah, I know a lot of people like Dobbins. I'm just not there. I'm not there personally right now. I believe Montgomery's still on the board. Yeah, Miles Sanders, who a lot of people are down on. Miles Sanders is setting up. I mean, look, I don't care about Kerryon Johnson. I don't even know if he makes the team. I don't know how many running backs they're going to keep. Maybe they only keep 3 and Kerryon Johnson gets cut. Obviously, Kenny Gainwell. I don't know how many running backs that they're going to have involved here. Right now, the notion is that they're going to have all these running backs involved. Boston Scott, a guy who barely got... I mean, he might have been undrafted. Was he undrafted or was he a 7th-round pick, Boston Scott? But Boston Scott. Kenny Gainwell, who goes later than expected this year, right? And then you have Miles Sanders, a 2nd-round pick out of Penn State, now coming into his 3rd year. He's being drafted as if he's going to split time right now, or at least split a lot more than people expect. So Miles Sanders is being significantly discounted. Montgomery's still on the board. So we have Miles Sanders and Montgomery on the board right now. So this is kind of a tough decision for where I'm at right now. I want one of these 2 guys. Montgomery has a clear-cut backfield advantage, at least right now. But you have to keep in mind Cohen's back. They drafted, I believe, Khalil Herbert out there as well. And you have a mobile quarterback that's likely going to start sooner rather than later, if not right away. So let's go Miles Sanders here. They both have the mobile quarterbacks, right? And that actually might be an advantage from a read option standpoint. We're going to go Miles Sanders, expecting a better overall offense, more scoring opportunities for Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders on his own has more upside to produce yards created and yards after contact than a David Montgomery. And maybe the yards after contact is more for Montgomery overall because between the tackles. But if we're talking the breakaway percentage on runs, Miles Sanders downfield more can compile that. So I'll take Miles Sanders there at the end of the 3rd. Montgomery might even fall to us. No, he goes the next pick. So you can see that's kind of the spot where those guys should go. But I'm okay with that right there. Miles Sanders, I'm not so much sold that an undersized, what do you weigh in, 201 pounds, Kenny Gainwell, who gets drafted late, is going to be much of an impact. I don't think Boston Scott will be either. So we'll go Sanders there because the offensive line is setting up to be fantastic for them. The way that they're building this offense around Jalen Hurts, whether it's just 1 year, Hurts can actually excel and move this a little bit more forward for a couple of years, 5-6+ years, right? Like Lamar Jackson is on pace to do with Baltimore. If you think a couple years back, yeah, I think this makes a good amount of sense. So Mike Davis just went. I was looking at Mike Davis too. Damn. So running backs just absolutely went off the board right here. I'm the next pick. The first quarterback goes in Patrick Mahomes. I see my man Dan S in the chat on YouTube. And Josh Allen goes. So Josh Allen goes as the 2nd quarterback. I'm not going to pick a quarterback in the 4th. If I look at what the wide receivers and running backs are left, we have Allen Robinson in the 4th, Terry McLaurin. Julio Jones is still on the board in the 4th. And then we get some running backs like Josh Jacobs. Miles Gaskin's on the clock in the 4th. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take Miles Gaskin because he won't be there again in the next round. So now I have set up 3 running backs and I have a wide receiver, right? That wide receiver being Adams. The fact that I got Devontae Adams early, I didn't feel the need to go right there and snag an Allen Robinson or snag a Terry McLaurin. A Julio Jones on the board there still was insane, but we just don't know where he's going to end up. There's lots of landing spots for Julio Jones. Hell, we could have taken him there and had a mega stack with the Packers because there's a chance he can go there. They have a lot of cap issues, but if they do indeed keep Rodgers, they can push some of that salary off and then get themselves room for Julio Jones. But the 49ers have an ability to get Julio Jones, a rather good one, right? The Kyle Shanahan connection. But yeah, the amount of money that they're going to be able to save with Julio Jones off that team, it makes a lot of sense that they get rid of him now rather than a year from now. So we got our 3 running backs. Most of these best ball drafts, I'm drafting at most 5 and normally 4 running backs. So I feel pretty good now. I don't have to get one for a while. Maybe a rookie later, maybe a Tony Pollard in he's going like the 8th or 9th now. So potentially not that, but a rookie later on is perhaps the way to go. But yeah, I think that this is starting to make a lot of sense early on. Dan says Hines for a late round pick, sneaky pick to keep on the bench with the receiver upside. The problem with Nyheim Hines is a late round pick, and sure, if he's like your last running back and you can get him literally in the 18th round, then I'm fine with that. And Julio goes at the 4-9, and towards the end of the 4th round is obviously a really good spot for him because even if he goes to any team, even if it's the 49ers, wherever it is, I mean, Julio Jones at the end of the 4th round, he can still put up a 1,000-yard season, right? And people always say that he's not healthy. He's in most of these games. He might leave them and still put up 8 catches, 78 yards, right? And maybe a score, which is just a crazy thing. Hines for me, yeah, anybody you want to take at your 17th or 18th overall pick, if it's the 4th or 5th running back at most, fine. But you have to keep in mind that this is not season long. This is best ball. So Nyheim Hines, if Jonathan Taylor stays healthy, he's probably a bust. Maybe he gets you one big week. I know he had the 2 or 3 big weeks last year when Jonathan Taylor was dealing with a bum ankle for like a month of the season and struggling during the middle of the season. And then it was a JT show. Obviously, Marlon Mack back now. They still have Wilkins out there, so it's tough. Damn, there goes Dak Prescott. I was trying to plan a Cowboy stack with Dak, but that kind of gets ruined and blown out of the water a little bit right there. But Chris Godwin, Adam Thielen, these guys are still on the board, which is pretty surprising. Edelman having a comeback season, somebody says. Yeah, where is he going to have that comeback season? Is he going to go to Tampa? The retirement. Did the news just break, or is that just people joshing in the chat? Travis Etienne goes, and I believe he should go exactly where he went. So if we're looking at the running backs still on the board, I believe we still have, I don't need them right now. I'm going straight wide receivers here once I'm on the clock again, which is going to be in 3 picks now. So, you have like Javonte Williams. The rookies are on the board. Robinson, Mostert, Melvin Gordon, Carter, another rookie. Fournette's there, which isn't a terrible option as like your 4th running back. But I am 3 picks away now. Who would you predict as a number 2 for targets in the Falcons? Pitts or Gage this year? Well, I guess you assume that Julio Jones is gone. If Julio Jones is gone, out of that roster, I would probably project out Gage for the 2nd most targets on that team, but pretty close. It's just really hard for like a tight end to go for 120 or 130 target season, right? Like if we expect, and also keep in mind it's a 17-game season now, but if we expect Gage just to see somewhere around 6.5 targets a game, he's looking at around 115, 120. So I'll put him slightly ahead of Pitts, but it'll be pretty close. Obviously, Ridley leading that. So now we're here with wide receiver. I can go to Cooper Kupp, which I think is absolutely fine. Cooper Kupp is my best available wide receiver right now. So I think the answer might be Cooper Kupp here, as guys like Michael Thomas are all off the board, DJ Moore, Amari Cooper's off the board, Kenny Galladay's off the board. I believe CeeDee Lamb just came off the board. So CeeDee Lamb is off the board. So yeah, we're going to go Cooper Kupp here. He's my best available wide receiver. So we snagged Cooper Kupp. Also keep in mind with Matthew Stafford, which is the big thing there. He was my best available wide receiver was Kupp. He was kind of neck and neck with Sutton, which I believe we could have gotten Sutton. I think, we're not going to be able to get Sutton at the next turn, or Kupp at the next turn, because he was the best available on the underdog ADP. I'm drafting off of, so I have tiers. So if you're watching on YouTube or on Twitter or on the replay, more than likely, I have tiers right now, and I have top 150s. We're going to have player profiles, all the key stats, data, and all that. It's linked down below if you want to check out the draft guide. It's in pre-order right now. We're probably going to be releasing it in a couple weeks. The goal is for the beginning of June. Everything's up. The shell of it's up. We just have to load the information into it, which by we, I mean me as a one-man show here. So that might take some time. But yeah, you want to check out the draft guide? The Supreme Draft Guide is back. Last year was a lot of very big success. We're back with it. So Brandon Ayuk goes. I think that's a little bit early for Ayuk. Ayuk leads my tier 5 right now, but I think it's a little bit high for him. You see pretty constantly. I'm going to go Courtland Sutton if he could drop 4 more picks to us. But if he could drop 4 more picks to us, I'm going to go Courtland Sutton. So we'll see what happens there. Again, I'm fine on. I do want to make sure we get Rodgers. I think we'll be okay. T. Higgins goes. T. Higgins would be my second best. Jamar Chase is going way too early. I have Jamar Chase as the wide receiver 29, and I think I'm high on him. And he continuously goes in like the 4th round of drafts. Jamar Chase went at the 5-6 in this one, and that was relatively late. So Jamar Chase is just going massively early right now. So we're 1 pick away. Can we get Sutton to fall to us? We have not been sniped yet on any of these picks. 1 pick away with top skyrockets. Hopefully not in the chat right now. My other best availables would be guys like Chase Claypool, Will Fuller, Juju. These are like my wide receiver 30, 31, 32 section in the tiers right now. I'll zoom in so you guys can see this a little bit better. Kyle Pitts goes at the 6-3. Now that's actually, that's really high, but it's later than he's been going where I've been seeing on Twitter, at least in like the 5th round. Kyle Pitts at the 6-3 is just kind of ridiculous. There's no shot. I think he was the 4th tight end off the board right there. So pretty brutal, in my opinion. Pretty brutal to take him there. Even in best ball, Hawkinson goes, which is higher. He's my 4th overall. Right now, I have Pitts as my number 8 tight end in best ball, whatever you want to do. If you're trying to build a stack, it makes sense to go there a little bit earlier on. So we still have quarterbacks on the board. So we're approaching the 7th round now. And quarterbacks, Russell Wilson, Jalen Hurts are still on the board. Rodgers is there. I'm trying to think how early I have to snag Rodgers to secure this Packers stack. In order, would you go Fuller, Parker, then Waddle, or other way around? So right now for me, I rank it Fuller 1, Parker 2, and Waddle 3. So that would be my order. But Parker right now is my wide receiver 42. Waddle's my wide receiver 43. Fuller my wide receiver 31. Odell fell to the 6-8. I mean, if I do this again, maybe I take Odell instead of Sutton. If I was to do this again, maybe I would take Odell instead of Sutton. So right now we're setting up pretty nicely. You can see my roster right here. I can move myself out of the screen. Aaron Jones, Myles Gaskin, and then wide receivers Adams, Cooper Kupp, and Courtland Sutton. You see his name falling around. So I feel good about that. 3 receivers, 3 running backs. I do think it's a time to take a quarterback, and we want to try and lock in the stack, at least one stack, and we're already set up to lock in a stack. And if you just look at how this is setting up, I don't really want to Drew Lock stack with Denver, right? But I'm fine with Matthew Stafford. We can get him later now that we have a Cooper Kupp. Maybe pair that up with a Deshaun Jackson and hope to just get one big spike week out of Deshaun Jackson later on. There goes Will Fuller. He was my best available left and now all my best available wide receivers are going. So at running back, is Fournette still there? Fournette's usually a decent pick. Now at 93 overall is where he's going, so I don't feel the need to have to snag for him yet, but we're getting close to where you probably have to. Somewhere around here is where he's going to go. Damian Harris is still there. Ooh. So I'm looking at the 7-9. My number 4 overall running back could be Damian Harris, who's setting himself up for a massive year. There's a cut candidate in Sony Michel. There's no way they did not pick up his 50-year option, but there's a cut candidate in Sony Michel. James White is going to have just receptions. The rookie, Stevenson, is not going to be heavily involved early. So people are passing pretty heavily right now, it seems. I have Leonard Fournette 2 picks ahead of. So you have Zach Moss. Damian Harris goes 2 picks before, so makes it a little bit easier. I had Fournette as my RB28, Harris as my RB30 right now. That likely moves up, though, as the summer goes on. So we're sitting here. We're 1 pick away. We could secure our final running back. At quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts is still there at the end of the 7th. So I'm considering taking Jalen Hurts here. We obviously, like Rodgers, so Debo goes. Jalen Hurts might be the move. I don't feel the need to go tight end at this point. Wide receiver, you got Tyler Boyd. You have Devonta Smith, which you can pair up with Hurts potentially next round. Jarvis Landry. I think the answer here is Jalen Hurts if you want just a massive upside guy at the 7-9 as well. That's appropriate. That's around where he's going, normally end of the 6th, early 7th. So we take Jalen Hurts. So Hurts doesn't do much for us in terms of stacking. I mean, we do have Miles Sanders, so there's a stack there. It's just not as strongly correlated as when you're going to go with a wide receiver or a tight end. But we know that that's still a pass catcher on the team to an extent. So, I mean, now we could go. I'm just trying to think if Rodgers makes it back around to us. He's the best available right now on the board for. I think I might. I don't ever do this, but I might go back-to-back quarterback if Rodgers falls to me, which is like another 4 picks away. So this is crunch time right here for Silky Best Ball Summer. I see some people in the YouTube chat. I'm going to get to your questions. I got my man Alex in there, Sam, Dan S. Appreciate that. If you're on Twitter, feel free to drop something in on Periscope. Rodgers goes, oh my God. Damn. I think we fucked up. I probably should have taken Rodgers to secure the stack over Hurts. Hurts would have been gone, so I had to just choose one of them. Damn. Rodgers, the reason why Rodgers is such a good pick there is we're drafting early on. A month from now, Rodgers can be on the Packers. It could be locked in an extension or at least the 1 more year of his deal before the opt-out. He can just stay there. And then you're looking at it and you have Jones, Rodgers, Adams, which is a really hard stack to build because later on, Adams is going to go he's ADP 16. He's going to be a top 10 pick in a lot of spots. And Jones is probably going to be a top 12 pick. So it's going to be really hard for people to secure those. So now with quarterback gone, right, I don't really want to take another quarterback now. You're looking at wide receivers, Jerry Jeudy, Landry, Brandon Cooks right now at the middle of the 8th. Seems a little bit early. Jeudy, I think, is the play here. Let's see where I'm looking right now. So actually, I actually have Brandon Cooks a little bit higher than consensus. I might be reaching around too early, but I'm 16 picks away, so keep that in mind. So I take Brandon Cooks at the 8-4. Seems like it could be early, right? Tyrod Taylor seems to be in line to start for this team. Might be a little early there, but I'm okay with it. As my 4th wide receiver, Brandon Cooks being the clear number 1 wide receiver on a team, even if their projected win total is 4.5. Feel pretty good about that. Yeah, he was my best available. It was basically a toss-up between him and Jarvis Landry right now as my best availables, and I just think that Brandon Cooks gives you more upside, less of a floor, but more upside, which is what I want to chase, at least at this point, at my wide receivers 4 spot. So I feel okay with that. Jerry Jeudy would have been a fine option. There's nothing wrong with Jerry Jeudy. He's my wide receiver 40 right now. Cooks was my wide receiver 38, so just a little bit better of an option. Leonard Fournette goes. Getting Leonard Fournette at like the 8-6, the middle of the 8th is a quality pick. If you can get like on average, I don't know, a 17-game season now. Like, if you can get a 50 reception season out of Leonard Fournette, 60 reception season at 17 games, feels pretty good. How would you compare Etienne and Robinson? Basically, pass catching and third down compared to Robinson getting bulk of the carries, question mark. I'm not buying the Etienne as a slot wide receiver right now. A lot of the talk, though, like Urban Meyer not doing really much right now, not being loved by many people in the media or just in the fantasy circles. So he wanted Kadarius Toney. He didn't get him. He drafts Etienne in the first round. Now he's making practice as a wide receiver. I want to see what happens in like 2 or 3 weeks, right? Like when rookie minicamp is over, if Etienne is still taking all slot wide receiver snaps, sure. But he's a running back. He knows he's a running back. What is the one thing that he can improve upon? He's a good pass catcher, but he kind of took 1 year to get better at pass catching in college. So now to transition to the NFL, you need to do other things. The blocking and releasing against NFL DNs is going to be much more difficult than college DNs. So practicing that a little bit more is something that I think is interesting, right? So I'll see in like 2 weeks, and that'll kind of judge where I'm at on the whole Etienne as a receiver. But right now I'm still projecting him as a running back. I'm still projecting him as a first-round caliber running back ahead of a James Robinson, who had a fine season, but like James Robinson wasn't elite efficient last year. He just got a lot of volume. He was an undrafted free agent, a part of a different regime, and got a lot of volume. Leonard Fournette got cut. Raquel Armstrong almost had to end his career because of COVID and missed the entire season. And Devine Ezigbo from the Saints, undrafted free agent, got a bum ankle right before the season started. So James Robinson just kind of lucked into all this opportunity and the biggest opportunity share in the NFL. I don't really think I love James Robinson. I got him in like my main league with my buddies at home in like the 16th round. I would really like him to stay, right? To be the main guy, but that reality is just, or that's just not a reality is the better way to say that now. Where's Galladay on your wide receiver list? Yeah, I'll let you know right now. So early on right now, Galladay is my wide receiver 17. He's my last player in my tier 3 of wide receivers, my wide receiver 17. Which I don't really know much of where ADP is on specific players yet, like consensus. So if I'm above or below by a lot, that's just where I have them charted out and statted out right now. We're 2 picks away. We've got 3 running backs, a quarterback, 4 receivers, and no tight ends. Goddard, unfortunately, went. If we're looking at quarterbacks, Matt Stafford's the best available, and we can start to stack him up at least with a Cooper Kupp, which I think might be the move here. Trey Lance still there. Running backs are Tony Pollard. I don't really need to go there right now. Wide receivers are Laviska Shenault, Antonio Brown. So let's go Stafford here. At the end of the 9th round, we secure both our quarterbacks. I don't need another quarterback now. Stafford and Hurts. Hurts we have with a Miles Sanders. Don't love that, right? But Hurts stacking options are pretty much gone outside of maybe a Jalen Reagor that I can get later on. And then we have Matthew Stafford already immediately gets the stacking correlation with Cooper Kupp, which I feel good about. Other than that, though, like maybe Tyler Higbee is now on our radar, unless he's already gone. So Tyler Higbee already went. Yeah, Tyler Higbee went 6 picks ago, so that's shitty. I appreciate the answers, Sal. Can't wait for the season coming up. Dollar Whiskey's on the way. Gonna go eat chicken with dirty rice. Keep killing it, Sal, says Alex. Hey, Alex, appreciate you tuning in, my man. No problem. Yeah, we'll be doing these best ball drafts weekly. We're already in the 9th round, which is pretty crazy. Like, we're already more than halfway done with this one. I'm already set on quarterbacks. I probably need one more running back, and then it's just getting tight ends and wide receivers. Which right now, there's still a decent amount of tight ends left. Gesicki, Logan Thomas. Gesicki gets hit by Waddle in the slot, though, right? Robert Tonyan, Evan Ingram. But how many Packers do we really want, right? So we're kind of looking at Blake Jarwin later on. Adam Trotman. There's a lot of tight ends left. I don't feel a need to have to pressure choose one here as much as looking at what's available at wide receiver. Tony Pollard has gone, so running back, that would have been like the only spot I was looking at right now. Kenyon Drake drops this far. Latavius Murray. Maybe you get one boomer big week out of them. He's going to get a ton of touches. I'm a Lions fan. I honestly am liking Swift in fantasy. Yeah, I think Swift looks fine. Yeah. Swift is like my RB20 right now. Where is he? RB18. So, yeah, Swift looks good. The guys ahead of him, Sanders, Carson, Montgomery, Harris, Gibson, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Jonathan Taylor, Cam Akers. So, I feel like that's the right spot. Maybe move up another spot or two. We're on the clock right now. Where it stands, we can get Jalen Reagor, which would be a reach in my opinion. Maybe not too much, though. So Jalen Reagor, he's on the clock. I don't know if he makes it back to us in a couple more picks. He would be a stack for there's better wide receivers, though, like a Darnell Mooney. I'm just going to go with the better wide receiver, Darnell Mooney. So, like, we could try and stack Jalen Reagor. Maybe he'll make it back to me in 16 picks. I highly doubt it. But you have Jalen Hurts. You already kind of have him stacked with Sanders. And also the other part of it is you don't have to stack one. And 2, Jalen Hurts is a mobile quarterback. So I'm not looking to get the upside out of his 250, 350-yard passing games and 2 touchdowns, right? Where then Jalen Reagor maybe is actually valuable. I'm looking to get the upside out of his 100 or 98 yards on the ground in a touchdown and 180 yards passing in a touchdown. The Lamar Jackson effect, right? The rushing upside. So I'll go with the better wide receiver in Darnell Mooney heading into his second year, who, I mean, probably the best value pick out of all the picks last year from an offensive skill position in the draft was Darnell Mooney. So way better than Jalen Reagor, who they got rounds and rounds later. So Darnell Mooney, our fifth wide receiver. I feel fine the way that this is setting up. Like, obviously, Devontae Adams, number one. 1A, 1B wide receiver in his offense, Cooper Kupp. Number one, Cortland Sutton to me. Number one, Brandon Cooks. And then the number two, pretty clearly behind Allen Robinson, Darnell Mooney. So we're going to need to snag some tight ends now with 8 rounds left. We still need 2 tight ends, and I think now's the time to take them as people are going to start to snag some up. Still a lot of good tight ends left if you want to look at the board. So if we want to look at the board right now, this is where the tight ends landscape stands. Gesicki, Irv Smith, Tonyan. I mean, these are starting tight ends. Evan Ingram all the way down here, right? Fursker, Blake Jarwin, Adam Troutman. I mean, we're still seeing about 8 starting tight ends left. You can keep going to Gronk and Gerald Everett, who might have a big role in Seattle. Jared Cook. So we got like 12, 13. Austin Hooper, Eric Ebron. Yeah, so there's more than enough tight ends left. Probably will start taking them, at least one with my next pick. I only have 3 running backs. That's probably a spot to start to look at for at least a 4th one. Somebody asked earlier about Nyheim Hines. He looks like one of the best availables left at running back with your Jamal Williams, who they're giving some hype out of, saying he's going to get a lot more usage than people expect. Latavius Murray's down here. It's just a bunch of shit, to be honest with you, at running back. Chuba Hubbard, if you really think that something's going to happen to McCaffrey in back-to-back years. Tariq Cohen's not terrible. This man has seen, I believe, J.J. Zacharyson on his recent mailbag episode of the Late Round Podcast. You can check it out. I think he recently said that 15% target share every single year for Tariq Cohen when healthy, right? So that's a reason not to be as high on David Montgomery as he finished last year, which it seems like the industry already is at. There's interesting spots to see. Oh, the Bears also have, I believe, Damian Williams, right? Was it the Bears who signed Damian Williams? Yeah. So we are now 3 picks away. Tight ends are starting to go. Evan Ingram goes at the 11-5. He's like the only guy not going to the Travis Kelce, George Kittle, like tight end summit. Mike Gesicki goes. Irv Smith goes. So we're getting Robert Tonyan goes. We're getting a little bit thinner. Wow. Jalen Reagor almost made it all the way back around to us. So at running back right now, I think that I'm just going to wait and maybe take like a Tariq Cohen later on if he's still there. That's kind of where we're going to be putting our chips right now. Nelson Aguilar's here. The 11th round, I think I'm going to have like 100% Nelson Aguilar ownership. Rondell Moore, T.Y. Hilton, Gabriel Davis. Russell Gage is here. That's a guy who's going to skyrocket upwards if and when Julio Jones is gone. Give me Nelson Aguilar. I've taken Nelson Aguilar in at least 2 straight, maybe 3 straight best ball drafts. I mean, he's the number 1 wide receiver on a team. Yeah, you have tight ends in the middle of the field. You don't really have a pass-catching running back. Damian Harris could improve in that area. James White, not really what he once was. But yeah, give me Nelson Aguilar on that team. A deep threat option. So now we're at 5. I really need to take a tight end in 5 picks. None have gone since the last one about 6-7 picks ago, so that's good. Depth is remaining. There's just so many good tight ends left, right? Like Blake Jarwin, Adam Troutman, Everett, Jared Cook, Gronk. I mean, they're not elite tight ends, but for being here in the 12th round, yeah, it's fine. Blake Jarwin and Adam Troutman is probably where I'm looking the most right now, and I think Troutman's probably going to be the guy who gets the nod for me. Jarwin coming off of the injury. Neither of these guys are sure things, but if I can snag like a Troutman now and then later on just get somebody who can be secure for me for a couple touchdowns, decent reception totals, and Jared Cook or Austin Hooper, Eric Ebron, right? These are guys later on in the draft. So we're 1 pick away now from Adam Troutman. We've been sniped only once in this draft, and that was for Aaron Rodgers, 2 picks before me, and it was a snipe because I was going to reach on Aaron Rodgers to get the stack. You're not usually sniped if a guy gets taken at ADP. It really doesn't make much sense. So Ryan Tannehill goes, let's take Adam Troutman, which is probably a little bit of a reach. Like, I'm looking at what else I need here. Wide receivers, there's like Henry Ruggs. There's all rookies and second-year guys for the most part. Josh Reynolds will probably end up falling and be there. I don't need one of these I'm already filled at quarterback. I don't need one of these running backs. Let's just go Adam Troutman. Let's take somewhat of a reach here on Adam Troutman. He's going right now as tight end 18. He's going to be ranked higher than that for me by the end of this. He's ranked right around my tight end 20. We'll take him there. We'll take him. So his ADP is 155 overall right now. So I took him at the 148. So he would not have been there 16 more picks. So it's fine. So where we're at right now, positionality, and you can see my roster right to the right of me in this little box, is Aaron Jones, Miles Sanders, Myles Gaskin. We're going to try and snag a 4th running back later on. Tariq Cohen, somebody who has pass-catching chops that can maybe just fall into like a touchdown, big receiving touchdown, 16-point week, and maybe that's actually worth something for us. Adams, Cooper Kupp, Sutton, Cooks, Mooney, Aguilar are 6 wide receivers so far. We'll probably end up with 10 wide receivers. We got Adam Troutman at tight end. Quarterbacks already secured, Jalen Hurts and Matthew Stafford. and I feel good about where those guys are at. Have a mini stack with them right now. Maybe we can end up snagging a completed stack later on. Matthew Stafford's tight end already gone, sadly, and so is Jalen Hurts. You're probably looking at like Deshaun Jackson really late. Maybe if he's there at like the 18th overall pick, we can take a Deshaun Jackson, who's at least going to start the season off with Matthew Stafford, even if it is Tutu Atwell at some point, which I really don't think it will be. I think they're going to give Jackson as much time as he needs while he's healthy, but then he might end up going. So it's going pretty quickly now as we're like 5 rounds left in this one. If you want to, if you're still watching live or on the replay, right, you can check out the draft guide links down below. The draft guide is linked down below for the 2021 season. It's only going to continue to get better. That is for pre-orders right now as of this recording. It's going to be out in June. You'll get emails once it's all out, but you can order it right now, pre-order it for the cheapest price. And then also if you want to draft on this platform, this lovely platform that I'm drafting on right now, you do that by going down below, signing up for Underdog Fantasy. And when you sign up for Underdog Fantasy and you use the code SAL, simple my name, SAL, you get $25 Rooskies right now. That's a limited time offer. So if you're wondering, like, hey, I'll sign up in like 2 weeks for Underdog and I'll start drafting once June comes, you might as well just sign up now and then keep the money in your account if you want to until then. But they're doing a limited time offer right now, $25 when you deposit the minimum of $10 bills, y'all. We're approaching the 14th round. I have one more pick left in the 13th round, the 13.9. I'm looking at where the board is right now. I could probably wait on tight end. Good amount of guys left. Blake Jarwin is there, though. He's kind of fallen a little bit because Blake Jarwin usually goes around the 148 ADP, and we're pretty far past that at this point. We're around like the 155 range is where I'll be picking. So I can secure both my tight ends, who are both strong pass-catching upside tight ends. But how much of a difference is there between like a Blake Jarwin now or waiting another 2 rounds and getting a Jared Cook, Austin Hooper, even Eric Ebron, right? I don't think Pat Fryermuth, Penn State kid, staying in Pennsylvania, going to Pittsburgh, I don't think that changes too much for him. Josh Reynolds goes, which is a really good pick right there. Let's see where the Tariq Cohen crowd is. So Tariq Cohen is getting closer to being taken. His ADP is 187. It's still a little bit too early to want to go Tariq Cohen. Russell Gage sees his ADP rising as it should, but obviously if Julio stays there, Kyle Pitts really harms Russell Gage. Now John Brown's still on the clock. You have Sterling Shepard still on the clock. Kadarius Toney is still out there. So I think right here what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with a, do I want to go Blake Jarwin or another receiver? Let's go Blake Jarwin and just finalize the tight end position. So we finalized the tight end position, and now it's just going to be straight wide receivers. I need 4 wide receivers and probably a running back. So we finalize our tight ends. We finalize our quarterbacks. I'm thinking right now that with my last pick, I'd like to go Deshaun Jackson if he's available that late. Let's see. Just to kind of, Deshaun Jackson goes to the 201, which is like, the 16th round overall is where we're beginning. The end of the 16th round. So Deshaun Jackson is not getting drafted in a lot of leagues. I can take him at the 17th round if he's there, and that'll just kind of finalize a quote-unquote best ball fitting deep threat type of guy, old as he gets, but the speed does not age as quickly as some other attributes. So you get to kind of finalize the Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford, Deshaun Jackson build a little bit later on. Seems like it might be a unique build as well. I think Deshaun Jackson only rises as the summer goes on. Like he did last year, people realized that he was, on the team and actually going to play. There was some concerns, and now we're getting. So I started the tight end run. Blake Jarwin, then you see Jared Cook, Ferksker, Hunter Henry. So we started the tight end run. Feels nice to not be on the end of this. Like if you take a tight end right now, so he's not going to because he's picking back-to-back picks. But like you have to feel real bad if you're rehab for quitters if you took the 4th tight end in a tight end run late because you just know you're getting the worst thing left. Also interesting that he took Hunter Henry over like Eric Ebron, Austin Hooper, guys that are actually the starting tight ends on their team with no 50-50 splits. So we see wide receivers start to go now. I think that's probably the pick for me as I'm 1 pick away. It's going to be wide receiver here. It's getting close to a point where we can take Cohen and feel good about it, and maybe you debate that you should reach for it. We're right around like the 170th, 175th pick. Cohen's ADP is like around 180. If I don't go Cohen, like what else is there at running back? That's probably something to weigh right now. Kenny Gainwell, Chuba Hubbard, Phillip Lindsay, just straight backups. Phillip Lindsay might have some juice left. We'll have to see. James White, Jerick McKinnon's not a terrible option with KC now. Ramondre Stevenson, I think he's not going to contribute that early. Tevin Coleman, still a starter, but honestly a cut candidate, only due like $400,000. There's nothing left. Yeah, let's just go Tariq Cohen off the injury. Damian Williams is there, though. That's the only concern. Damian Williams is a fine pass catcher. We might just wait and just snag like a Chuba Hubbard. So I'm going to go with John Brown here. So we go John Brown. John Brown lasted a while. I mean, John Brown's ADP is like the beginning of the 13th round. We got him at the beginning/mid almost 14th round. So John Brown in Vegas with the second-year players right now. So we can see the bye weeks that we have. Is bye weeks really an issue for me? No, I got 2 wide receivers in week 11. My quarterbacks are 14 and 11, thank goodness. So it seems like I'll have some issues in week 14. I have 2 running backs in week 14 with a bye. So I'm going to need another running back, which hopefully Tariq Cohen is not that week. He's week 10. So the next pick, if he can drop 12 more picks, those would be Tariq Cohen, which would be getting him about where he's going. So it is somewhat of a risk to wait on that. But yeah, we're going to need a running back for that week. And my tight ends have different buys. I was not even fucking looking at buy. This is like the second draft I've done since the schedule has come out on last Wednesday. So it's been like a week, 8 days. So, yeah, I should probably start fucking thinking about that. So now as we are at, 7 wide receivers, I think rookie wide receivers start to become interesting to me at this point. We have quarterback filled and tight end, which normally for the way I draft, these guys get filled a little bit later on. But those guys are filled early on right now. So I think rookie wide receivers, they're normally the only things left. Tariq Cohen would be the guy that I want, or Chuba Hubbard if you really want to get the backup, who's honestly not really locked into the backup role, but the opportunity to take it based on where they drafted him. Christian Kirk goes. Not really interested in that all that much. Kadarius Toney's still on the board. He's going to have manufactured touches. So those are the types of guys that I'm looking at. Like a Kadarius Toney, seems like all inevitable that Jamison Crowder's $10, $11 million cap hit is going to get him cut. Amari Rodgers, if we want to just keep piling on the Green Bay Packers, which if you're going to get him late. So we know we wanted Deshaun Jackson. We know we wanted Tariq Cohen if they stay another couple of picks. And then it's just about filling out the rest of the rotation. Right, we got 2 more picks after that if we can snag those fellas. Yeah, Kadarius Toney. A first-round pick. They're going to use him somewhat. And if you're going to get Kadarius Toney with my 15th pick in the draft, I'll take that. I think that ADP is only going to rise. He's already falling in this draft right here. Let's see. So his ADP right now is to be taken at the 14-9. My pick will be the 15-9. So if I'm going to get Kadarius Toney a round later, if he can drop to us, I'll take that and just hope that we fall 6 more picks to Tariq Cohen. Because I'd rather have Kadarius Toney's upside as a first-round wide receiver. And yes, it could be a bust like a Jalen Reagor, although people fail to point out when rookies get hurt and why they get busts right in the season. Like Jerry Jeudy, hurt last year, dealt with a bum lower body for 4 weeks. Kadarius Toney goes right 2 picks before us, so that kind of sucks. Early on, Bryan Edwards and Henry Ruggs get hurt. Ruggs the first week of the season. Edwards pretty shortly after that. There's really no talk about that, right? So people kind of fail to forget when the rookies are getting hurt out there. Jalen Reagor, hurt, missed a month of the season. So I'm going to just go Tariq Cohen and lock up our 4th running back here. So we lock up a 4th running back. Tariq Cohen doesn't feel great now that Damian Williams is there, but Damian Williams, a year out of football, I think he's 30 years old now. Who knows what he looks like? Cohen, obviously, I would assume is ahead of him on the depth chart, especially just knowing the offense. Deshaun Watson goes at the 15-10, not a bad pick. So we got 3 picks left. I pick in 5 more picks. I'm set on quarterback, 2 of them. Set on tight end, 2 of them. Both of those guys stable. I don't feel like I need a third of either. Set on running back with 4. We just got to finish it out now with some wide receivers. And I think Deshaun Jackson is going to be my next pick because I don't think he makes it 16 more picks. Deshaun Jackson's going right around pick 200 right now. If I was to pick him at the 16-4, if he lands there, that would be pick 196. I don't think Deshaun Jackson makes it another 16 picks. There's a chance he does, but I don't want to risk it. So Deshaun Jackson will be my pick, and that'll kind of finalize a Rams stack. He's on the board right now. So Deshaun Jackson we take in the end of the 16th. That finalizes the Rams stack that I want, which makes me feel very nice. Frank the Ripper over on Twitch. We got the Twitch crowd coming out right now. He says, Sal, the go to fantasy. What's up, Frank? He says, Bears got Damian Williams. He might make the backfield fucked. He might, yes, but he's also out of football for a year, 30 years old, wasn't paid much money. I think Tariq Cohen is decently ahead of him right now. I really don't know where Damian Williams fits in. My guess is that Damian Williams doesn't fit in much at all. That's just my guess. If I had to be completely honest with you. We remember Damian Williams as quality, got the 2-year extension 3 years back with the Chiefs because he was a quality player in the playoffs, catching a lot of passes. That was before he was a year removed from football and 2.5 years younger, right? That stuff kind of falls off a cliff. So Amari Rodgers finally goes in the 16th. I've got 2 picks left. They're both going to be for wide receivers. Unfortunately, I don't have any rookies right now. I have second-year player Darnell Mooney. I have Sutton, who's a little bit younger, but I got a lot of veterans. Deshaun Jackson and John Brown, my last 2 picks. It's a little bit concerning. But I wanted rookies. They just went. Kadarius Toney went, right? I wanted some rookies earlier on. They went right ahead of me. I would have gone Amari Rodgers. So, yeah. Dwayne Eskridge is here. Dwayne Eskridge will be my next pick. I just don't really feel confident that he'll make it 12 more picks to me. Dwayne Eskridge, Nico Collins for Houston. If we wanted to get another piece of that offense. There goes Nico Collins, so forget that. Josh Palmer, I'm not against. I've taken Josh Palmer once so far this season for the best ball, the silky. Let's pull it up right here. I've taken Josh Palmer already once for the silky best ball. If you're watching right now live or on the replay, if you're watching on the replay this far and you've already made it, 40 minutes into the stream, I appreciate you. So like and subscribe and do those things. Ramondre Stevenson goes in the 16th. I don't know if he'll have enough juice to be able to pass a healthy Damian Williams, we're talking about him too much, Damian Harris, before the end of the year. Dwayne Eskridge will be my pick. We're getting kind of close to Dwayne Eskridge. So Dwayne Eskridge, Josh Palmer, some of these veterans don't look or some of these rookies don't look terrible. The veterans left, Tyrell Williams in Detroit, where they don't have many bodies, meh. Brian Edwards, second-year player, dealt with injuries last year. Doesn't do much for me. Darius Slayton, decent second half of his rookie season, nothing since then. Frank the Ripper in the chat says, Crowder, high-volume guy if he's still in the Jets, and their wide receiver depth chart is still weak. I think their wide receiver depth chart is quality. They got a lot of guys out there now, right? The Jets have a lot of guys outside of Elijah Mitchell, who they just drafted to replace him. I fully believe that Crowder's gone. His cap hit, the fact that they took a second-round high-quality player who is the mold of Jamison Crowder and Elijah Mitchell, who's like the stereotypical comp for Elijah Mitchell this year. So I think he's gone. But then you also have just a lot of other wide receivers already out there, right? You have second-year player Denzel Mims. They added, obviously, Corey Davis got the big money. They added, who was a great yards per reception guy last year. They added even Keelan Cole, who's like another slot piece, right? So it seems the writing on the wall that Crowder's gone. But the fact is, Crowder's still relatively young. He's like, 27 years old? He's been great for the Redskins. He's been great. Like, he could end up with the Packers. I doubt it after they drafted Amari Rodgers, but like wherever Crowder goes, he can still be a valuable piece. And you can arguably say that there's not many worse situations than being with the Jets right now. Yes, there's no Adam Gase. Yes, they have a new quarterback, but there's a lot more secure situations he can go to. So, yeah, I would say Crowder this late is a fine option. And we're going to go Dwayne Eskridge here if he falls one more pick. So, please, 12 fluid ounces. 12 fluid ounces, what a weird name. Do not snag him here. I think 12 fluid ounces might be on auto pick, which if that's the case, he's definitely not going to get Dwayne Eskridge. He goes Carr. So we'll take Dwayne Eskridge, the rookie receiver who was taken in the second round by Seattle. Seattle runs a lot of 3 wide receiver sets. Looks to take the place of a different type of player, but of a David Moore's role as that wide receiver 3. Lockett gets the extension, but is older. DK Metcalf, you kind of know what he's going to be. He's going to be that number 1 on that team. Although struggled the second half of last year. So we have 1 pick left. It is going to be filled by a wide receiver. We'll just kind of see who is left on the board. Josh Palmer, 3rd-round pick by the Chargers. They don't have much competition on the outside. Like, it's Mike Williams, so that's kind of all Palmer's going to have to fight for. So it's not a clear path to getting work. Dez Fitzpatrick on a Tennessee team that does not have much at all, right? Does not have much at all in terms of competition for, like, they brought in who? They brought in Josh Reynolds. That's it, outside for competition outside of A.J. Brown. So we are a couple picks away. The board's terrible. KJ Hamler, second-year player out of Penn State. Don't really see the upside there with Sutton coming back. Jacoby Myers is not bad. We have the Nelson Aguilar pick for New England, but Jacoby Myers is not a bad option for a guy who was quality last year for them and just seems to do what they want him to do whenever he's out there. Allen Lazard is still here this late, going to be battling with Amari Rodgers in the slot. Anthony Schwartz is a rookie still on the board. Tutu Atwell goes. So we're a pick away right now. Yeah, I see guys that we can end up taking, but none of them make me feel great. Tylan Wallace in Baltimore arguably could be the best wide receiver on that team. We didn't really get to see in his last couple of years of college due to COVID and an ACL. So we're on the clock right now. Minnesota, Amir Smith-Marset is still available. Seems like a deeper dart, but there's not a third wide receiver option out there for what we expect to be a good offense. So, yeah, there's a lot of interesting names on this. Let's just punt. Let's just punt with our last pick, guys that people won't really draft as often. Let's go with Amir Smith-Marset, the rookie in Minnesota. He's going to fill the wide receiver 3 spot. And the reason I take him here is I could go ahead and I could take a Dez Fitzpatrick. I'm one of these rookies that gets drafted a little bit more than others. But the only thing that happens for Amir Smith-Marset is that he gets drafted higher than the 18th overall pick or the 18th round pick, right? The only thing that happens is camp reports come out. He has a nice preseason, right? There's a really good chance he gets a lot of preseason run, the 3 preseason games. You have Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Irv Smith, sure, but this is a passing offense. If anything at all happens to an aging Adam Thielen, anything at all happens to second-year Justin Jefferson, the only guy that they drafted, Amir Smith-Marset, who actually was pretty good in terms of just prospect profiling, steps into that role. So, like, out of all these guys, the Dez Fitzpatricks and the Anthony Schwartz and all these guys who are coming into offenses that have 3 or 2 bodies ahead of them, it's the same exact thing for Amir Smith-Marset, but for some reason he's not being talked about in an offense that Yeah, sure, they have Dalvin Cook. They want to run the ball somewhat, but terrible defense last year. Don't expect it to get that much better. They're still going to pass the ball. They play in a division where Aaron Rodgers is still there, in my opinion. They play in a division where Jared Goff is coming in for the Lions, but I expect them to want to pass the ball more than they have in the past, just new people coming into that offense. And now they play in a division where Justin Fields is on the Bears. So that is where we're at. I like getting rookies at the end of the draft just because it gives you a little bit more unique of a build. And obviously, at that point, you're taking guys who are like third to fourth wide receivers on their team, veteran wide receivers like the John Brown pick or the Deshaun Jackson. So the draft is completed. Alrighty. We can kind of review, and I'll pull this up. Hey, how you doing? We can kind of review what we just ended up getting there in that draft. I don't hate it. I don't hate it by any means. So right now, if I just want to look at some of these, we'll pull up the end of my roster right now. So to finalize it, let's pull it up on the screen right now. And I'll just move myself over here. So I appreciate y'all tuning in. Thank you. But let's look at this roster quickly, and then we can kind of close up shop here. So we ended up going pretty early. So pretty early with quarterbacks, which I don't normally do. I took them both before round 10. So you get Jalen Hurts and you get Matthew Stafford. Fine with that. We ended up stacking Matthew Stafford fully. Hurts, we didn't really get a stack. We got Miles Sanders, didn't really try to. It's not the greatest of stacks. We go 4 running backs. Aaron Jones, who we got luckily at like the 1-9. He fell to us, right? Sanders in the second. Or in the third, and Miles Sanders in the fourth. Tariq Cohen really, really late. I took him at pick 177 overall, a little bit ahead of his ADP. I took most of my guys ahead of ADP, but that's fine because they wouldn't have gone back to me and nothing was dramatic. I took Devontae Adams right at his ADP, second round, fourth pick overall. I think Rodgers is still there, and the second that Rodgers stays for this season or signs an extension, Adams goes back to being a top 12 to top 10 overall pick. We get, I think Cooper Kupp fell a little bit too much to us. I think Sutton fell based on ADP right now. He didn't, but I think he will be seen as somebody who fell. So we get a bunch of wide receiver ones. Sutton, Brandon Cooks, Devontae Adams, 1A, 1B, Cooper Kupp. I feel completely fine about that. We then start to roll up some value wide receivers who should have big roles. Darnell Mooney would have had like 5 more touchdowns last year if he just had a quarterback who can throw him the ball. Hopefully that quarterback this year is Justin Fields at some point early on. Nelson Aguilar, John Brown, Deshaun Jackson to close up that stack. And then we go with some of the rookies, Dwayne Eskridge and Amir Smith-Marset. Outside of that, we ended up having these 2 tight ends right here. Adam Trautman, who we reached on a little bit, took him at pick 136. He's going around pick 150, but likely would not have made it back to us. And then we got Blake Jarwin to fall to us a pick later. Feel good about it. That's 18. I think that's 5 or 6 best balls now in the books for this summer. If you want to get in on Underdog and draft in the best possible platform, it's linked down below. Use the code SAL as of right now. You deposit the minimum, and they will give you $25 Ruski. Smack you a $25 Ruski credit, which is the exact amount, coincidentally, as how much it costs to get into the Best Ball Mania to try and win $1,000,001. Best of luck, everybody. Stacking. Check out the bye weeks. Make sure your bye weeks are in order because I really wasn't looking at that. It just ended up working out fine for me. We have at least 2 players at every position. The quarterbacks and tight ends don't have the same bye week, so that's good. Sutton definitely undervalued this year. I agree. I think Sutton, that's what my man Frank the Ripper says over on Twitch, Sutton will continue to rise up, in my opinion. Like and subscribe before you go. Check out the 2021 Supreme Draft Guide link down below for pre-order right now. Depending on when you're watching this, though, might already be out. Expected to come out early June of 2021, which is in like 10 days or 2 weeks. So check that out. Linked down below. Get yourself in there at the early, lovely price. You all rock. See you in the next one. We're doing these once a week. And then the full NFL summer for redraft 2021 content is going to start in June of 2021. Let's buckle up. Let's get it. It's football season, baby. Fantasy football reigns supreme in this space. See y'all in the next one. How y'all doing? Take care. Brush your hair. It's Silky Best Ball Summer. See ya. Shit.